what I've seen is the people on the left side of the aisle are less likely to do podcasts and discuss their ideas in an open forum, and the people on the right are always willing to do so. And so Destiny is the one exception. He's always willing to debate people on the right side of the aisle, even though he doesn't agree with what they do. And we've actually teamed up where we're on the same side of things. Like, for instance, I think Russia invading Ukraine is one of the biggest military blunders in the last 100 years. I think they're going to pay for it dearly. Once this war is over, India and China are going to destroy them economically, because they're going to realize you don't have any other trading partners. And I think this is going to be a horrible, horrible mess for them. Even if they take Donbass and Crimea, I think it'll never be worth it for them.
How often do you spend your time like looking into like these topics? Because for me, I'll talk about something that's going on in the world like very sparingly.
Yeah.
I will have to feel compelled. So like I made stuff about Israel and Palestine because I was just like, dude, I'm getting like so many people
crazy?
About like asking me about this, and I'm like, I'll tell you guys what I think. And
what did you say? I'm just curious.
I made a first reel that I don't even know how many views it got now.
Yeah.
Maybe almost 1 million. And thinking about the hook, I came out with like a pretty strict hook.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, if you support Hamas, then you support Hitler. And that was the hook.
For sure.
And then, essentially I just went down this biblical view. I said, look, you guys think that people, just started fighting in the Middle East?
Sure.
Like, this isn't new. And,
like literally in the Old Testament, the Israelites are told to kill the Canaanites. Guess where the Canaanites are? They're in the place where Palestine is now.
Yep.
They are the descendants of that generation. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I just talked about, dude, this has been happening for thousands and
Yes.
thousands of years. People are like, Israel just got that in 1948. And I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, well, Israelis had been living there before 1948.
Yeah, I'm just like, guys, this has been happening for thousands of years.
Yeah.
And it's, I went into the Bible and how there's this Ishmael and Isaac line and how they've descended. And I'm like, look, and I also prefaced it and I said, look, if you're going to have an opinion on any type of event or belief, you have like an underlying belief system, which you draw from. Everyone does. It's either your family and your parents and what they taught you. It's either your religion. It could just be this own belief system from your own experience. And that's like where racism starts of like,
Sure.
oh, I got mistreated by this guy and I don't like that, right?
Yeah.
Or all women are bad because I got rejected. So like you have some underlying belief system. And I said, my underlying belief system is the Bible. That's how I've been raised. That's what I believe to be true. And I measure everything that's going on in the world against that.
Yeah.
And I said, you want me to tell you what I believe is happening in Israel and Palestine? Well, let's look at the Bible. Oh, weird. It talks about this conflict happening and that it will keep happening and keep happening. And I said, it will not end until Jesus returns. That's what it says.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. And that was it.
So the issue is with that, like you said before, like a more nuanced way to describe it is like the least popular view. And that is basically, this has been, like you said, it's been going on for a long time. There's no real way for them. It's not like if you and I were to debate tax policy, right? If we did debate tax policy, there's a common ground because we both understand mathematics. In the case with Israel and Palestine, because there is a legitimate religious disagreement, and most people, I don't know this to be a fact, but I'm guessing, most people who live in Palestine do not want just the total eradication of the Israeli state.
No.
But the people in Hamas do, and unfortunately they're in charge.
Yep.
So the easy solution would be remove Hamas from being in charge of Palestine and they wouldn't have an issue. What I think the issue is that these other countries, including Egypt, were getting very cozy and friendly they're becoming a little bit more secular, and they were starting to have trade agreements with Israel. And once that happens, the conflict was about to end. This is a situation where this was Palestine's last shot of like invoking a rage on the Arab street. And so that's why what happened on October 7th happened, and it evokes this rage. And now Israel is now responding in kind. And, the word genocide has been used several times, but it can't be a genocide. And there's the reason why is because I study war. I used to be a U.S. military officer. If Israel wanted to genocide Palestine, they would just do it.
It could be done now.
I just don't think you understand. It's M1 Abrams tanks and F-15s versus AK-47s. It's not, if Israel wanted to actually genocide Palestine, it would take less than 3 weeks and the whole place would be rubble. That's not a realistic way of explaining it. But you saw Netanyahu is, he's negotiating for 50 of the hostages in Palestine to be returned back to Israel. in that case, this is just an ugly situation. Is Israel partially to blame? The answer has to be yes, because if Israel wants to continue to say that Palestine is part of the Israeli state, then you have to take responsibility for your house. If your house keeps getting broken into and you don't put locks on the doors, and eventually at some point it's your fault. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It's their mess to clean up. At some point they have to take responsibility for what's going on. They have to find a solution. But at the same time, what happened on October 7th, anyone who stands behind that is utter and complete. That's total and complete lunacy.
Yeah.
If you want a ceasefire, that's fine. But those people who are asking for a ceasefire, you see those people who went to the Capitol and they're like, ceasefire or whatever, those same people need to be calling for Hamas to be removed as the political party that is the head of state for Palestine. If you agree on both of those things, I'm in total agreement with that. Because the thing what we can't do, and as a Christian, I read the same Old Testament as you do, and I've read the same thing. And for those of you who don't know the difference between Ishmael and Abraham, Abraham is Ishmael and
Isaac.
Isaac is the first-born son of his wife, and Ishmael is the first-born son of his handmaid.
Yep.
And so because of that, that's why, that's where the Islamic and Judaic faith separate right there at that point. I do read the same thing, but what you can't do is just say one side is all bad and one side is all good. There's no way you're going to tell me that everyone in Palestine is just bad and everyone in Israel is all good, or the other way around. And unfortunately, that's what I'm seeing way too much of on YouTube. I think we need to have a little bit more empathy on both sides. And it's just very interesting to me that when people come from one place or another, their opinions are totally based on where they are from a socioeconomic group or from a religious stance. And I just do not, as a Protestant from Texas, I have no standing in this whatsoever, but I think we just need to have a little bit more balanced view on what's going on there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And this is why I say I never really talk about those things, because the two reasons are this, number one, doesn't really, for me anyways, accomplish anything.
It doesn't sell units. You're right.
It doesn't sell units.
It doesn't move units.
It really
does
doesn't
not help the sales team at all.
It doesn't do anything.
I do flat earth debates. It does not help the sales team at all.
It doesn't do anything.
The sales team is like, why are you doing this? Zerka again? John Zerka again? Why are you doing it? Yeah.
Yep. So, it's like, all right, well, what's the point of talking about whatever thing is going, because there's always the next problem in the world, the next news and chaos. So that's one thing. And, it's just the second thing is, even for me, just knowing that, hey, if the end result is hey, how do we get people to Jesus, which is the eternal goal?
Sure.
Does me talking about this in the way that I'm doing it really going to do it? It could or couldn't, but it is what it is. So I don't even bring half the stuff up because it's just whatever.
Yes, but we will go viral because we had this conversation.
Yeah.
That's essentially that's what'll happen, because people want to hear everyone else's take on it. And the more informed you are on it and the more nuanced your take is, the less viral it goes. That's the irony.
Yeah, actually, I can't poke a hole in that.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah.
But if you say something outrageous that they're like, dude.
Absolutely.